All right. Good morning, everyone. Once again, welcome to the briefing and calibration and sealing of fuel dispensers. We are truly grateful for your attendance today. And it's a bit of pressure in my part since I'm the first presenter, which means I need to set the tone for both the participants and the rest of the presenters today. Hopefully, no, in my presentation, I'll be able to address some of your concerns. Kasi I know that prior to this event, marami na kayong katanungan regarding the calibration and sealing of fuel dispensers. So today, I've been assigned to present and discuss the rules and regulations of calibration and sealing of fuel dispensers. So this topic is very important, especially for our CTOs and MTOs, as it equips you with the knowledge and skills necessary to fulfill your duties effectively. So by being informed and taking action, we contribute to a fairer and more efficient industry. So this is the outline of my presentation. First, I will discuss the DOE Department Circular 2017-11-0011 and the existing laws related to calibration and sealing, which will serve as our foundation or basis for understanding why we have this kind of activity and why our invitations were specifically addressed to CTOs and MTOs. Second, I will present how we conduct monitoring and inspection in the outlets, including what DOE inspectors examine and validate. So this includes checking dispensing pumps, measuring liquid quantity, reviewing permits, signages, distances, and other services. So this will give you an idea of what you can also do in the field during inspection. So third, I will show some of our templated forms and certifications that you can adopt. So please note that all the forms presented later are only for recommendations. It's up to you. It's up to the CTO MTO to decide whether to adopt them or improve the format or create your own. Lastly, I will present some of the ways forward identified by the DOE MFO to improve the current statistics and data regarding the calibration and sealing mandate for LGUs. So this will serve as a guide for our next steps because our work doesn't stop here. It's not just about attending briefings, seminars, or training sessions. This is an ongoing responsibility that we must continue to fulfill. So for our first topic, let's delve into the relevant laws and the DOE circular. First, we have PD 1865, also known as Amending Batas Pambansa Bilang 33, entitled An Act Defining and Penalizing Certain Prohibited Acts Involving Petroleum and/or Petroleum Products. So Section 3G of this Act defines that the use of a pump metering unit that has not been properly calibrated and sealed by the office of the city or municipal treasurer where the station or outlet is located, or by the NSTE, or by any other authorized government agency. So what we want to highlight here is the phrase properly calibrated and sealed by the office of the city or municipal treasurer where the station or outlet is located. So this means that the CTO MTO is responsible for calibrating and sealing all fuel outlets within their area of jurisdiction. Next, let's move on to RA 7160, otherwise known as the Local Government Code, which transfers control and responsibility for delivering basic services to local government units or the LGUs. So this includes the fees for sealing and licensing of weights and measures under Section 148 of the Act. This is actually good news for LGUs because conducting calibration and sealing is one of the activities that can generate income. However, Section 148A to B of this Act states that the municipality may impose fees for the sealing and licensing of weights and measures at reasonable rates as prescribed by the Sangguniang Bayan. So it's important to note that before you can collect fees for calibration and sealing, there must first be an appropriate ordinance in place. So let me clarify, no? While LGUs are mandated to conduct inspections, they cannot collect any fees without having their own ordinance in effect. So I hope this is clear to everyone. Continuing with the relevant laws, let's discuss the Consumer Act of 1992 or the Republic Act 7394. So under Chapter 2, Section 61 of this act, it is clearly stated, no, that the implementing agencies responsible for the regulation of practices related to weights and measures are the provincial, city, or municipal treasurers. So they are required to strictly enforce the provisions of this chapter along with its implementing rules and regulations. And in Article 62 naman, sealing and testing of instruments of weights and measures, it is further specified that all instruments used for determining weights and measures in all consumer and consumer-related transactions must be tested, calibrated, and sealed every how many months? Every 6 months by the official sealer who is the provincial, city, or municipal treasurer. So, paulit-ulit po, no? Official sealer natin is the CTO and MTO. So, next, let's discuss the DOE Department Circular 2017-11-0011, or also known as the Revised Rules and Regulations Governing the Business of Retailing Liquid Fuel. So this circular serves as a fundamental guide, or you could say nga ito yung pinaka-Bible, no, for all individuals currently involved or planning to engage in the business of retailing liquid fuel. So Section 24 of this circular enumerates the authorized calibrating entities and their rules. So at the top, so pinakauna, no, the list are the city or municipal treasurer, or in their absence or incapacity, the NML of the Industrial Technology Development Institute, or the ITDI. Next, the Department of Science and Technology, or the DOST. And the last one, they are also unavailable, the oil company or a third-party contractor. However, please note that if the calibration is to be conducted by the oil company or a third-party contractor, they must obtain a certification from the city or municipal treasurer stating that the latter are unavailable or incapable of doing the calibration. So this certification is crucial for the validity of the calibration and the sealing performed by the third party. And in line with this, we have a templated form, no, from our office that some LGUs have already adopted. So for example, Dipolog City, this one, no, on the right side, Dipolog City issued a certification stating that in the absence of technical expertise, they authorize a third party to conduct recalibration and sealing for a particular establishment. However, no, we hope that in the future, such certifications will no longer cite the absence of technical expertise, because we aim for you to have the capability and skill to perform this task. So this is precisely, no, why we are holding activities like this one, to help equip you with the necessary skills to carry out these responsibilities effectively. So now that we've revisited the relevant laws, no, and DOE circular, let me summarize the rules of government agencies in calibration and sealing. And as outlined, no, in the verification and service inspection of fuel dispensers manual from the DOST, and in this context, the verifier refers to the LGUs, or the local government units, so, who are responsible for conducting dispenser verification, which includes both the calibration and sealing processes. On the other hand naman, the inspector refers to the Department of Energy, the DOE inspectors, whose role is to inspect the accuracy of the fuel dispensers, to check compliance of players to facility standards. However, it's important to note that the DOE is not authorized to adjust or seal the dispensers. Also for the DOST, to calibrate test measure bucket, calibrate tank track, and calibrate fuel dispensers. Now let's proceed to the topic of monitoring and inspection. So during the conduct of inspection, the first thing DO inspectors look for is the COC or the Certificate of Compliance. Why? Because under the DOE circular, specifically Section 4A, no person shall engage in or operate the business of retailing liquid fuels without first securing a valid certificate of compliance. So operating without a COC is considered an illegal trading. So, and the penalty for a first offense is 10,000 along with a directive to comply. So, in your rule, it's crucial that before issuing a business permit, you ensure that the applicant has already complied with the COC requirements. So, however, we always encounter situations where applicants struggle to obtain a COC because one of the requirements is a business permit. On the other hand naman, the BPLO or the Business Permit and Licensing Office won't issue a business permit without the COC. So which one should come first, the COC or the business permit? So let me clarify this issue. The DOE should come first in the process. However, since the business permit is a requirement for the COC, the DOE issues an endorsement letter to the BPLO. So this letter states that the applicant has complied with all DOE requirements except for the business permit. So at this point, the applicant can obtain the business permit and then return to the DOE to be issued the COC. So the applicant must comply with all other requirements first except for the business permit. I hope that this process is clear to everyone. Also, please check the link shown on the slide to help the outlets comply with the COC requirements sa inyong area. Now, I'll show you the COC compliance data per company type. So as of July 2024, 76% of the total number of outlets in Mindanao have secured COC. So with the help of the LGUs, we hope to see this figure increase in the coming days. So looking at the compliance rates by company, MyGas leads with 94% of its total outlets compliant, followed by Shell at 84% and Flying Bee at 81%. So these figures highlight the efforts of these companies to comply with regulations, but there's still room for improvement across the board. So, and if you want to know the status of the outlets in your respective LGUs, you can visit the DOE website. We regularly update the list of retail outlets with valid COCs on a quarterly basis. So, simply search for a list of retail outlets with a valid COC and then click on Mindanao. Click the Mindanao portion for the Mindanao area. So please note that all inspections we carry out are random and unannounced. In addition to checking the COC as per Section 16 of the DOE circular, we also conduct tests on dispensing pumps, take samples, and perform product testing. Furthermore, under Section 17, our inspectors collect a 1-liter sample of each type of liquid fuel to ensure the quality of the fuel being sold by the outlets. And as shown in the table, based on our record as of August 2024, a total of 3,743 gas stations comprising of LFRO or regular stations and TSRO or so-called micro stations or fuel vending machine in Mindanao, exclusive of Baram area po ito, And about 191 LGUs or 58% have at least 6 stations and 62 LGUs or about 19% have at least 13 stations. 56 LGUs or about 17% have at least 30 gas stations. So the data here implies that about 77% or 253 LGUs, if fully capacitated, can easily inspect, calibrate the fuel dispensers in their own jurisdiction every 3 months. So while other LGUs may need additional manpower, As to the DOE inspectors, due to geographical reasons and limited manpower, no, it can only inspect about 700 stations in a year, or it may take at least 5 years to inspect all stations at least once in Mindanao area. So thus the LGUs plays a significant role as the forefront and as the primary calibrators of fuel dispensers to conduct regular calibration and sealing to ensure fair and accurate deliveries of fuel dispensers, and of course to address the malpractices of liquid fuel retailers. And on the quantity check side of the inspection, we bring along a test measure, no, commonly known as a calibrating bucket. So in cases of under-delivery, another presenter will later teach you how to identify whether the under-delivery is within the tolerable limit or not. So if the result indicates under-delivery, that particular dispensing pump will be immediately closed by the inspectors. So will post an out of order sign. So this is the out of order sticker used by the DOE inspectors and sa left side, no. So in the event that an out of order sign is posted by the retail outlet, such must be supplemented by a notice or request for recalibration to the LGU or by the authorized calibrating entity. The unauthorized removal of an out-of-order sign or padlock locking the pump is found under delivery shall constitute a presumption that the pump is actually being used to sell liquid fuels and shall be deemed committing the offense of illegal trading. So it is important to note that we don't only use the out-of-order sticker for under delivery. We also apply the out-of-order sticker if we find a broken or missing seal during the inspection. So additionally, part of our inspection involves checking the hose length and its condition. As per DOE circular, there is a required maximum length for hoses, and we ensure this adhered to. And we also inspect the rubber seals of the underground tank, the UGT cups, which must be rain tight to prevent leakage and protect the product inside the tank from water contamination. So now let's proceed to the forms and certification. So earlier, I presented the certification form. Now let me quickly explain the out of order form which we issue to the outlets where we find under delivery. It is important for you to understand how to fill out this form, as you, the CTO-MTO, will be responsible for completing it. So the form is divided into two sections. So the left side is for the DO inspectors, and the right side is for CTO-MTO. So the most crucial part of the form is the totalizer reading. So this reading reflects the last reading by the DO inspector when the dispenser was padlocked due to under-delivery or an invalid seal. So when the owner, the person in charge of the establishment, magpunta po sa inyong office to request recalibration and sealing, please note the following. So the CTO-MTO is the only authority that can remove the padlock and the out-of-order sign. So when you visit the establishment, check the current totalizer reading. Ideally, this reading should match the previous one recorded by the DO inspector. So if the readings differ, it means the dispenser was used despite being marked out of order. So just record lang po yung actual reading and certify it on the form. So and then provide this completed form to the establishment, which they will submit to us. So our lawyer will handle any further actions required. So how to read the totalizer, we have two ways to read the totalizer, Pwede po through digital or through analog display. So for digital, request nyo lang po yung in charge or yung may-ari ng station to display the totalizer. And then for the analog naman, makikita nyo lang po ito somewhere sa upper part ng mga nozzles. So this one naman is a sample calibration and sealing sheet, or report or certificate na pwede nyong gamitin. So I will give you an example how to fill up this form, especially on this part, yung red box. So for example, if the dispenser is purely mechanical, you will need to record the details such as the brand, example, no, Gilbarco, then model and serial number. So you can find these details, no, on the dispenser's nameplate. So the nameplate's location, it varies by brand. So it could be located at the top, on the nozzle part. Example, no, most of the time, no, that's the Tatsuno nozzle part dun sa area ng nozzle. And then, or typically, on the lower side of the dispenser. And then, next po is yung, you will use a bucket reading. You will use a bucket to take readings, no, at different flow rates. So, fast, medium, and low. And then, calculate the average of this reading. So, this average will be your final measurement. So, for the seal of serial number, you'll use the number na nag-appear doon sa silyo po na ginagamit natin. So, for example, this one, seal from Butuan City. So, as shown in the example, so yung serial number po niya is 0143. Right, so this one naman, no, similar with the previous slide. So, all we need to do is to gather yung basic yung mga details, no. So, this one are purely electronic, no. The brand are Wayne, yung sa taas. No, dun sa baba naman is Tatsuno. So, as I've said kanina, no, magba-vary po yung plate and nameplate kung saan nakalagay, depende po sa brand. So, the last example, no, covers dual calibration, which involves both mechanical and electronic dispensers. So, the main difference from the previous example is that this form has two columns for seal data. So, as it involves dual calibration. So, for dual calibration, you will need to fill in data for both types of seals, mechanical and electronic. So, ensure that all information is accurately recorded in the respective columns. Now, let's discuss the ways forward for improving the calibration and sealing of fuel dispensers. So first now is the strengthening enforcement and compliance. So to encourage LGUs to enforce strict adherence to DOE circulars and Republic Acts related to calibration and sealing, and recommend the adoption of local ordinances that mandate regular inspections and certification of fuel dispensers by LGU. So second is the capacity building, no, and continuous training for CTOs, MTOs on the latest calibration and sealing techniques, and ensure that all cities and municipalities in Mindanao participate to achieve a comprehensive coverage. And the third one is the collaboration with the private sector and national agencies to foster partnerships between LGUs, the DOST, and private sector technicians to streamline and enhance calibration process. So the last one is acknowledging and commending LGUs, no, to recognize and commend LGUs that have shown exceptional commitment to the regular calibration and sealing of fuel dispensers. So, and by acknowledging, no, their efforts, we not only validate their hard work, but also encourage other LGUs to follow. So, and I guess this is the last slide of my presentation. Alright, so before we wrap up, I'd like to mention that we have a Facebook group specifically for LGUs, CTO, MTO, and NGAs. I warmly invite you all to join the page to stay updated on the latest news regarding calibration and sealing. So this platform also serves as a space where you can share your best practices, which other LGUs can adapt and learn from. Also, if you have any inquiries, please feel free to reach us through the contact details displayed on the screen. You can also follow our Facebook page, the Mindanao Field Office Energy Industry Management Division, to stay connected. So I hope that we all grasped and observed the key points discussed in this presentation. And once again, daghang salamat. Thank you.